Hey, what's going on, you blue-balling, boob-blasting, bitch-basting bozos? Welcome to Grunt Speak.
Live from the lair!
And Gleep Glop and Floop-de-doo at your service. Special guest tonight, the real Stag. If you remember our stream from a couple weeks ago, Pranks from the Thin Blue Line, the author himself has come to join us.
Oh, yeah.
Gentlemen.
What's going on? What you drinking over there, man?
This is a local beer from Casper, Wyoming. It's called Oil City Red from Oil City Beer Company.
Ooh, I like a good red. Fantastic.
All right.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we got the green grenades here. So.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
I actually have one of your stories I've been sitting on, good sir. I actually brought it up here just so we could remind everybody of who you are.
All right, read it.
Pop story about the frag grenade reminded me of one from the academy. I'll set the stage. CERT training or SWAT training, SRT. Going back for my 8 weeks of SRT training, well, the FBI's HRT team shows up. Tries to tell us how to properly enter and clear a building. Do a search warrant voice. Repel, kick indoors. Well, they get their asses handed to them by our instructors. They leave and instructors tell us, forget every fucking thing you heard from those idiots. Today is day 0. We start over. Well, we go on range training, precision shooting, hostage rescue, force on force, etc. Day comes for high-risk warrant service training. We get to play with the flashy grenades. Goody, goody. We get to go to actually breach, bang, and clear. Get to shoot instructors who are dicks with the sim guns, hopefully in the dick. I get set up with my entry team. I'm the breacher. That sounds very homo-confirmed right
Yes,
there.
yeah,
So I swing a
Well,
big...
you know.
I speak it's a big-ass battering ram and smash the door open. Was it the front door or the back door? I'm asking for inquiring minds we want to know.
It was the front door. Only the front door.
The expert from Cheyenne PD is behind the point man, an instructor on the shield with a pistol, while the expert pulls the pin, prematurely pops the spoon, and then tosses the flashbang, blinding all of us. We reset, they put him back on the flashbang, and this time the door bursts open. Expert pulls the pin, tosses the flashbang, only to have it bounce off the opposing wall and land at the feet of the instructor.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, the guy was a fucking idiot.
Instructor kicks it into the room. It goes off. Expert gets his ass chewed, gets smoked, and we reset. Expert goes again, pulls the pin, tosses flashbang, bounces it off the door. We scatter
Learns
again.
nothing.
What's that definition of insanity we keep hearing about so much?
Yeah.
We stack up. Expert pulls the pin, tosses it again, only to have it bounce back into the doorway close enough to disorient him and the instructor. Instructor's had enough. He's furious.
Yep.
So he pulls the idiot out of training and makes him a hostage taker while making a note to fail the expert. The next one goes in, goes off, and then an instructor tosses a CS grenade and tells us to put on your masks. We enter and clear, and then he pops the expert at close range with a sim Glock after knocking him on his ass with a ballistic shield. No, it's not a prank, but it's a good story of how the loudmouth got his comeuppance. A few months later, I pulled the same expert over for going 60 in a 40 in my city. Needless to say, his chief and captain had a nice conversation with him about the law.
All right, now, first of all,
You've seen some shit, man.
those flashbang grenades, right? They're pretty much the same thing as the U.S. Army grenade simulators. And,
I've heard.
well, I mean, because they work off flash powder.
Ah,
Now, there was 2 or 3 occasions where, you know, when I was lower enlisted, and one of the worst things you can get on a Ranger squad is being the guy who runs up and throws his body on the barbed wire so everyone can run over you. Well, it was my turn. Like, all right, Pop, get up there and fall on that triple concertina wire so we can run over it for you. And I'm like, well, can I have an MRE box or something? Like, what? No. Just get your ass up there. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to get all cut up.
goody, goody.
So I run up there, and as I'm running, some of the defenders threw 3 grenade simulators, and they went off like almost within a half a second each.
Ooh.
So I'm running up, and it's like boom, 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 and I flop on the wire. I was totally disorientated.
I bet.
They had
Oh, yeah.
to come back and get me like 5 minutes later to pick me up and walk me off the wire. So I was like,
So
Whew.
when we're doing it when we were doing it in SRT training, SWAT training, we had to have we had the old Mitch 2000 helmets, you know, the Pop remembers the Pazgats, where we had the ones without the visor.
Yep.
So we were expected in training, just like when you were at the range, to wear hearing protection. So we have hearing protection, so it doesn't really fuck with you that much, other than a little bit of concussiveness from the fucking explosion.
Mm-hmm.
It's the flash that gets you. Well, then when you're doing it in training at your PD, you're not wearing hearing protection.
Oh,
You're
great.
going in like this is an actual fucking
Oh.
raid. So we actually had a guy when we were doing a raid training at the PD. We were supposed to have the training flashbangs, which aren't as loud or as concussive. One of the guys fucked up, and he brought an actual flashbang.
Mhm.
And instead of having it, you know, he doesn't have it in his gear. He has it stowed in. At the time, we were wearing black BDUs, the LAPD Velcro and button fucking OTVs.
Yep.
The fucker has it in his BDU pant, and he pulls it out, and I don't know how the fuck he did it, but he managed to pull the pin at the same time he pulls it out of his pocket, rolls it through the door. At the same time, the captain fires Captain Fucknugget, fires another one through the fucking window with the 40 mic, and they both go off at the same time with like the captain's blows a wall out. His goes off. We're all fucking disoriented. The guys inside that are supposed to be opposing, Op 4 are in there fucked up. They're trying to shoot at us with sim guns. We're trying to figure out what the fuck we're doing because we're fucked up. And yeah, it was a fun night in a condemned house that I almost fell through a floor into the basement on.
So, what was the rank of Fucknut?
Captain?
Captain Fucknut.
Captain.
Yeah.
Fucknut.
All right, that sounds like a new superhero.
Major Fucknut.
This is Captain.
Well, there's, he's
correct.
He's Captain Cum Guzzler, Captain Shit Stain.
Wow.
He was under investigation for some things, so I'll talk about that later. But
Captain Fucknugget of the Starship Enterprise.
Well, we had a Buzz Lightyear. Major Buzz Lightyear was one of our commanders.
Buzz Lightyear,
dude. First of all, the dude was like 6'5". Weighed
shit.
about 250-ish.
Woo! That's a big dude.
He was such a fucking moron. Holy shit.
A gentle giant. Right?
He was the commander where I would always be in the back of the formation when he's giving his little crazy little briefings. I'm like, someone's gonna die. And like everyone starts laughing. Shut the fuck up. I'm just like, hey, you're gonna get somebody killed, sir. I'm just trying to help you out.
Maybe he was one of these guys. Got one of our first funny videos of the night. Which we're just stringing fucked up but funny throughout the whole day here. But I think we're going to have to assess some homo suspicion points here.
Oh, no.
Pull up 6 inches. 6 inches? All right, I got you.
it's definitely not homo suspicion. It's belong.
Cool. Right there.
That's confirmed.
Oh, my God!
Woo, he's had some practice.
I don't know, man.
He's had a lot of practice.
A little too much practice.
Yeah.
So with the homo suspicion points, there's actually a story I got from the force with that.
All right.
So my partner and I were, we became really good friends. We were going through FTO at about the same time. I'd hired on just before he did. He had come up from Fort Collins PD. He'd been a firefighter there. So, there's a little bit of homo suspicion points because he was a hose jockey. A hydrant humper, red wagon riding.
An oral fixation despite being around smoke as part of their professional career, I've noticed.
Yeah.
I don't get
so,
that.
Him and I are good friends. And he's the one that,
the hydrant humper?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the one that he shattered his police Oakleys. He got called in for the kid in the stolen police car.
I remember that. Yeah.
There's another story about him blowing all 4 tires on his brand new police interceptor.
Phrasing.
The
hydrant humper is blowing all 4 tires.
When I mean he blows all 4 tires, I mean he literally jumped railroad tracks, got it high centered, and popped all 4 tires.
Wow!
Damn!
In a pursuit.
Wow. Well, that's
on railroad property.
Did he crash it?
No, but I had to stand there with him, and then I was the supervisor of the night, so I had to file out all the reports on it, and then I had to take him in for
I'm
his,
sure you love
quiz.
that.
That's a lot of
paperwork,
man.
Oh, it was a shit ton. I have my own accident in a police vehicle that I had to fill out my own state accident form on, and that was entertaining with the lieutenant that was on because he literally filmed the deputy doing the investigation of my vehicle, and we were with deputies. So when my partner had his little accident, we already had deputies on scene who were part of this chase. So like one of them backs off and comes back to us and he's like, dude, I told you not to cross the railroad tracks. Like, I'm in an SUV, your partner's in a pickup. How the hell do you not understand? Don't cross the railroad tracks.
You'd be surprised how many you tell people some instructions.
Yeah.
And they fucking forget.
Like, it just in one ear.
Yeah. Like
well, and when you're in a 1080,
are you going to show them?
Yeah. Check this out.
Look at this.
So I go to the barber to get my mop cut, right? And
yeah.
A very simple instructions: 1/2 inch on the side, 1 to 1.5 inches on top. I walk out with a crew cut.
I mean,
That dude almost had a very bad day.
Yeah, I was so mad at that dude. If he would have said something sideways, that would have been it. I would be in jail.
But the good news is this: you get to save money on hair dye.
Fuck you.
hey man, I got gray hair too. My wife always points it out.
Yeah.
2 for 1
So-
special. L'Oreal for men.
Oh no, she's always dyeing her gray hair.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm like, why don't you just stop? Like,
Yeah.
I'm almost 40. You're 41. Like, just stop. And she's like, I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Oh yeah, my mom when I was a kid was like, "I'm gonna stop dyeing my hair once it turns white, because then it'll look just fine." She's 75. She still dyes her hair every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
My father-in-law's
I will
hair is
dye
so
my
white.
hair until my eyelids, eyebrows go white.
And then
Once
it's all
those goes white, that's it.
I know you're not gonna go Steve Martin with the dark eyebrows.
But sorry to get off on the rabbit chase on it, but so my partner and I, like I said, we're close, right?
Yeah.
Well, I start dating a fellow police officer's daughter.
Oh,
What?
His daughter.
What's wrong with you?
Oh.
God damn it!
oh,
It's his daughter from his first marriage, and
Dude,
like we're trying to keep it quiet. Like we don't want her dad finding
that
out.
never works.
What, do you
it's
live in the
it's
same
the-
house?
Well, it's the Cali dick. No, it's the Cali dick from that story, the one that would rat me out for anything.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
like,
Oh.
we're sitting there, and one day we're in the squad room, and my partner and I show up early so we can shoot spit wads over the cubicle and throw shit at each other. And
What like you
they
do?
come in with L4's platoon, and Red's walking in with them, and he's like, they just dealt with another gay guy. And he's like, oh man, I met the perfect guy for you, and I'm like halfway through a report, and I turn around, I'm like, what the fuck you mean by you met the perfect guy for me? And he's like, well, you're gay, right? Like you and
Oh my
Hefe, you and Hefe hang out all the time. Like you guys go camping together, you go hunting, you go fishing. And I'm like, is this a joke? Like, I'm like, whatever. So I go back, and he's like, no, man, I got his number. Like I told him I knew this cop that would, like is that guy.
Oh God.
And I
When you
turn
were
around,
about
and
him?
I'm furious at this point. Like I'm fuming, and I whip around, and I'm like, well, that ain't what your daughter was screaming last night,
Oh
bro.
my God.
Oh, you went there. Oh,
Oh,
shit.
I did. We go running
Oh.
out. Hefe, he looks at Hefe, and Red's like, she's like, yeah, maybe, I was trying to get you guys to come to the table, and, you could have a father-son talk. Like, we need, come to the table. Let's have a talk,
Sure.
And he looks at Hefe, and he's like, oh, he's just fucking with me, right? He's just screwing with me.
Nope.
And Hefe's like, dude, they were totally not at my house with my girlfriend and I last night. And I don't know what happened. I'm like, bro,
Dude.
like, bro, have a brother's back. Like you have my back when shit goes bad, but
Oh,
seriously?
oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, throw me under the bus. Why don't you throw me under the bus, back it up, run it over me? Let's just keep going. Leave some tire marks on me.
Wow.
Do a burnout. And dude Cali douche turns around,
Oh.
and I see his hand go to his sidearm, and I hear the clips come off his Glock,
Nice.
off his holster, and I'm like, yep, this is happening. So I just bail.
Quickly.
So Hefe and I bail out the door, and we run into Sparky running downstairs to run outside. And of course, our sergeant, Red's husband, is sitting in the cubicle doing his reports, and he's just like, oh shit. Like, what do I do? Like, I'm the supervisor tonight, and I got to watch I got to watch two dickheads and a retard. I'm gonna get really small and just,
Dick
so
gets
there
in
was,
a retard.
Just pretend I'm doing my job over here.
So
yeah,
you-
I'm over here until briefing. Okay, so I was at this incident, and we go running out, and I knock Sparky over. And again, I'm 6'7", and he's like 5'8". So I just barrel him over through the door as he's opening it. And he's looking at me, and Hefe's like 5'5". And we're running at full speed, like Hefe's pulling his duty belt up as he's running, pulling his pants, trying to hold on to get to the door. And Sparky looks at us. He's like, what's going on, guys? Why are you running out the door? And I'm like, dude, just get the hell out of my way. Just let me out to my car. Let me out to my car. Let's just go. Go. And Hefe runs his neck, and he's like, he's banging dickhead's daughter. And about then we hear his footsteps coming down the stairs.
Uh-oh.
And Hefe and Sparky decides to open. I can't say their names because a couple of them are still in law enforcement. But
Gotcha.
Sparky opens his mouth and he's like, "Oh, you mean the blonde with the huge tits? Wait, you're banging his daughter?" And that's when I hear the sound. I hear a growl that I've heard mountain lions before.
Uh-huh.
Little bit nervous with them when I'm hunting, but I've got a gun. I hear that growl behind me.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
That's the sound of get to the truck now.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
So I jump in the truck.
Well, hang on a minute. Hey, Stag, how many years were you a cop?
So I did 2 years as a police cadet in Saratoga, and then 2.5 years as a patrolman in Rawlins, and that's due to the captain's investigation I alluded to earlier.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right,
I was involved in helping with that. I was not involved with what he did.
Let's ask some questions here. So in your 2.5 years, how many domestics did you go on?
I would probably say 15 to 20 a week.
Oh, so it's
we
fairly
did-
common.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, our agency, and we arrested men, we arrested women. A lot of the times it was a woman instigated, so she went to county.
Usually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 90% of the time.
Well, how many times would you say you arrested the woman?
Out of it, I would say average about 86%.
Whoa.
Wow.
Oh, so you actually believe in real equality?
Well, here's the thing.
So-
what led you to that, to not arrest the guy?
So part of the biggest thing about the academy, you spend your time doing your investigation stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
Wyoming Police Academy is actually one of the strictest in the nation. So when you're at the WPOA, they teach you like, if you come to Wyoming working from another state with a certification, they don't let you work as an officer with that certification. You have to go through the WPOA from start to finish.
Oh, man.
So you may have done 16 weeks in LA. You're going to do 16 weeks in Wyoming, which we have an investigation course as part of Patrolman's Basic. We have pursuit intervention, part of Patrolman's Basic, DUI Basic. So like you go through the whole slew of everything.
Mm-hmm. You go through all the acronyms that you could charge people with.
Yeah, pretty much. So what we would do is we would look at the guy, like we would get witness statements, and the neighbors would tell us, and we would hear the neighbors all the time. They're like, well, she was going off on him about something. He literally walked in the door and we could hear him through the wall. We could hear him across the neighborhood. And it's a small city in Wyoming with a population at the time of 15,000. It's got a population of like 8,500 now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, this was at the height of the Wamsutter gas boom.
Uh-huh.
So it went from like 9,000 people to 15,000 people overnight. Plus the state pen is there. So we would show up on these calls, and you would look at the guy and you'd see, like he'd have a black eye, he'd have, and you could say, okay, well, maybe he got into a fight at work. So you'd start asking him, and they would give you that indicator that, like a beaten wife would. They'd look at their abuser, and he'd give that little flinch and that kind of side eye and that kind of like, is she listening? Can she hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we would look at him versus her. And there was a couple of times like a guy slapped his wife back to stop her from fucking hitting him. And we would, right then and there, we would hear from the neighbors. We already knew what we were going to do. We'd all discuss it by our cars. We're like, all right, she's going to county. Like, she's the instigator. And she would come out with, well, he hits me all the time and it's my turn. And even the female lieutenant, not the quota hire, the one quota hire we had a
Quota hire. Nice.
Yeah.
Huh.
Red would sit there, and Red's like, really?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, what do you do? We had one guy. I remember my favorite one was, well, he criticized my cooking.
Oh my God.
Said it wasn't as good as his mom. So I threw a plate at his head and told him, if you think it's good enough, if you think your mom's is better, you better go cook it yourself. And then she hauled off, and he tried to clean it up so their toddler wouldn't step on the porcelain, their toddler, their little daughter. And she smacked him in the back of the head with a frying pan. And he turned around, like he gets up off the ground, turns around, and he pops her in the face. And we're like, all right, well, you can't really hit her, you know, like
what?
Kind of one of those.
You could kill somebody with a frying pan.
A little bit, yeah.
But then you know, we had to look at it in the self-defense aspect of she could have murdered him.
Yeah,
easily.
So a lot of the time we would take women to jail because in that area, like you could see there were small dudes.
Yeah.
And there were some bigger guys that, like, you're looking at his wife, but then you're looking at how messed up the guy was, and you're like, dude, you weigh like 106, you weigh like 270 fucking pounds, and she weighs like 112.
Yeah.
Like, how did she do that much damage? She's like, I don't want to hit her, bro.
Well, I mean,
all right, I get it.
Look what happens. We've actually shown some fucked up and funny videos on here where, like, a dude gets locked in a room with just a cat having a bad day.
Yeah.
A cat's a fraction of your size, but it can fuck you up.
A cat can kill you if it really wants
my freaking cat, when she wants to play, tears me up with those murder mittens.
Murder mittens. I like it.
All right, so back to the domestics. What is the worst one you've ever been on?
I would have to say that was a corrections officer that was beating the hell out of his wife.
Oh, okay. How'd that go?
Corrections officers think they're law enforcement, so he tried to, you know, give us all the codes, the statutes, and tried to justify the reason he broke his wife's jaw.
Oh, okay.
Oh my!
And broke her ribs. The second worst, he obviously went to jail, lost his job. Second worst was a friend of mine who worked for the domestic battery group. She was actually, I can talk about it now, but she was the Craigslist rapist case from Casper, Wyoming. She was the one that got raped.
Oh my God.
Oh.
And the guy that set it up was one of our former dispatchers.
Oh shit.
Like, I have a picture of that dude. But her boyfriend from high school, her boyfriend from high school got into meth. She was working at Carbon County Cove, the domestic violence group, and she was a counselor. Great gal. And she's like 4'2", but you know, great gal. And she kept calling me all the time with personal questions. She always had my phone number, so you know, we just stayed in touch, and she knew I was a cop. And she's like, hey, so Ronnie beat me again.
Oh no.
And I'm like, okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Like, I'm not even calling it in on the radio. Like, I'm not self-reporting. I will be there in 5 minutes.
All right.
And she's like, no. She's like, well, my training tells me to call the police department. I'm like, she's like, who's on? I'm like, I'm on, Hefe's on, and Zippy Doo is on. And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to call this police department. So she calls. The 1016 gets called out over the radio. RP is going to meet us at the cemetery. And, you know, they give the RP, you know, they put it in code. They give the RP's name. They tell us what she wants to do. And I get a call on car to car, and it's Zip. And he says, my LT. And he says, I need you to give me a PX real quick. You know, a PX, a phone call.
Okay.
So I'm like, no, I'm en route. I'm already en route to their apartment. He's like, no, pull over, give me a PX.
Okay.
So I pull over, and I'm like, he's like, just come up to the cemetery, do a standby with me, but I'm going to take her statement. You can't. Conflict of interest. I know you know both parties. Stay out of it.
Okay. So he was looking out for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, LT, I'm gonna go over there. And I'm gonna fuck this guy up. Like, I'm done. Like, this is the 5th or 6th time. Like, he beat her in high school. He's beating her now. We have to take photos of her. Like, I had to take the photos.
Jesus.
And we had to take photos of her, like, lifting up her shirt, showing the bruises out in the cemetery in the view of the public. She's like, well, I just want to call my mom and dad. And LT looks at me, and he's like, get her in your truck. You guys go back. You guys go 1019. I'm going to call Hefe up. We're going to go take care of this. And I'm like, no. Put her in your car. Put her in the cage. I'm going to take care of this. And he's like, you've got two choices. You leave and go home for the rest of the shift, and you let me handle it, or you take her down to the station and take her statement. So I had to take her down to the station, and just, this friend of mine, to have her break down and cry on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a tough one, huh?
Damn.
Oh yeah, that was probably
How
my
long was
worst.
she married to him for?
She wasn't even married to him. They were engaged. She was dating the guy.
Ooh, oh my God. How long were they together?
All 4 years of high school and another 2 years after high school.
So that was a long time ago then.
Yeah, this was a long time ago.
Whatever happened to that guy?
He dated another friend of mine, and I can't confirm it, but I'm pretty sure he beat the hell out of her too. But I think he's back in prison. This would be like his third, because he also, after this whole incident, he was one of the guys that broke into 72 vehicles in the dead of winter. 72 auto break-ins. The only way we caught him was him and his tweaker buddy walked in fresh snow back to their house after their last crime. And I was the one that knocked on the door, and he showed up, and that gave us probable cause to search, because he's like, "Hey bro, what's up?" And he throws the door wide open, high as a kite on meth.
Meth and dicks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We had a lot of that.
Wow.
That
This is in Wyoming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Rawlins, Wyoming.
And that actually reminds me, because you mentioned some news clips, some news articles that you sent over that have to do with like meth and some of the shit that you've seen on the job. I can't.
Did you see any shootings or anything like that?
Ridiculous.
We had one shooting with a couple of wannabe gangbangers. They were Sir 13 SA, and we had some real Mexican mafia dudes who were no longer in the gang,
Nice.
who were like, this was in Southside. I literally lived in the ghetto when I was a cop. I lived in Southside, which is it. If you go in Rawlins, it's literally the south side of the railroad tracks, right by the interstate, right by I-80.
You're on the wrong side of the tracks, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I was in Mexicanville. I was in Little Mexico.
All right, yeah.
Is that where Hefe's from?
There's worse places.
No, screw it. Jeff's from Fort Collins, and he's now a Sweetwater County Sheriff's deputy. He's actually a detective. He actually solved a cold case from the 70s and 80s with the dating show killer.
Really?
Damn, that's awesome.
In Wyoming.
Show killer.
I never heard about that one. I'll have to look it up.
He was a serial killer, and he did some messed up shit, and he connected a woman found in the 80s, her remains found in like the 90s. He actually was able to connect the killing to the guy who's in prison.
Damn.
Wow.
That's awesome.
He also, I actually harassed.
I got to go to this just because it ties into our show so well. And we were already talking about the myth thing. Before we get too deep down this rabbit hole, you guys are going to laugh your balls off at this, because this is regional news. I doubt any of you have heard of this. Wyoming ranchers accused of bleaching penis shapes onto neighbors' cows.
They were watching my show.
What is the story behind this?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it depends. It varies from county to county. The long and short of it is there's a wealthy rancher from back east who refused to help the homesteading family who's been here since, I want to say, the late 1800s, early 1900s in Cook County, Crook County, which is Sundance up by the South Dakota border in the Black Hills. But what had happened was his cows kept crossing into the homesteader's property, and they kept talking to him. This has been going on for like 3 or 4 years. Him and his son, him and his daughter, his daughter's husband, everybody would go over there, and they would tell him, like, you fix the damn fence. And in the state of Wyoming, it's not a law, but it's an unspoken law that if your fence gets damaged by your cattle, you help your neighbor fix your fence. Well, the rich guy refused. So they herded his cows that were mixing in with his prized cattle, and they took him to their chute. They took like 250 head. Okay. So they get 250 cows in there, and The thing with bleach in Wyoming is if you bleach the hide, like bleach the hair, when they go to sale, there's marks with bleach that indicate different maladies or different things that would get you a lower cost on the cow.
Yeah, I'm actually reading about that right now, if I may, right here. It says with the plethora of penis on these cows, they lost $140,000 because each bleached animal is now worth $500 to $700 less per head.
Yep.
Okay. So did they have to pay the difference, or?
So it ended up charges got dropped.
Yeah,
On these
I'm
guys.
noticing that now. Yeah, charges dismissed against Wyoming ranchers for bleaching penises onto cows.
So what they did was they were drawing like footballs on them. They were putting like lines down the spines, drawing big old dicks on them, flaming dicks, from my understanding from a deputy I know. Like they were fed up.
Friends in Wyoming, Bob?
That is fucking hilarious. That's some shit I would do.
I know.
Well, in high school, when I was a police cadet, my pastor's son and the principal's son, and this was in Saratoga, Wyoming. It actually made the papers in Denver for dumbest criminals. It made the Denver Post and the Rocky Mountain Post.
Awesome.
Not to mention the Saratoga Sun, the Rollins Daily Times, the Casper Star Tribune. It made every paper from Wyoming to Utah.
Yeah.
So what they did was we had a pig that we were raising for FFA. I got suckered into FFA for mechanics.
What's FFA?
Future Farmers of America.
Oh, okay.
All right,
I was on the mechanical team.
You're gonna get a homo suspicion point for that one.
No, there's a lot of hot chicks in FFA when I was in high school.
All right.
Lots. That was the only good time to go to state convention.
It's a good place to plant your seed.
Yes.
Okay.
And plow a lot of fields.
There you go.
So my pastor was also our football coach. He was our defensive coordinator. He weaseled his way into the school. Well, the principal's son, my pastor had been trying to get me to date his daughter, who was my age and my grade. His son was a grade older than us. And yeah, Aaron doesn't watch this stuff, so it's great. So Aaron and the principal's son decide they're getting drunk. We all got drunk at parties. It's freaking Saratoga. Like, it's a town of 2,000 people. What are you going to do? You're going to get drunk. So they go back to the parsonage. They steal pastor's keys to the school. They break into the school, and the principal's son had broken up with this chick. They took spray paint, Sharpies, and a bunch of other stuff, went out to the pig pen behind the ag shop to the female pig, and were like drawing arrows to her ass and putting the chick's name and photos duct taped to her of this chick. Like,
nice.
Dude.
And then they took pictures, photocopied them in the library, and put them all around school, on everybody's lockers, on every door, every classroom. And I'm a police cadet at the time, and
No, wait, hang on. There were dudes that did this?
Yes.
Because that's like chick shit right there.
Oh no, the guy was principal's son. He was pissed because he caught her cheating.
Oh yeah.
Giving a dude a handy at Veterans Island Park or something.
Eh.
So
shit happens.
Yeah.
I'm a police cadet. Principal pulls me in. He's like, I need you to investigate this. And I'm like, well, under Wyoming state statute, I'm a special officer. So yeah, technically I'm law enforcement, but you should really call the PD about this.
We can talk about your daughter's handy skills.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about your
fresh ground pepper.
Your son. Yeah. He's like, well, I don't know who did it. And I'm like, sir, I have a pretty good suspicion of who did it. And I'm pretty sure it was your son. Oh, I need to talk to your partner, and I need to talk to the chief of police. I'm like, all right, man. I'll walk out to the desk, and I'll walk out to the receptionist. I'll call the PD, get Chief Cox to come up here, get Cameron to come up here.
Cox.
Yeah. Carl was cool. Carl was a badass. He actually gave me a 40 cal carbine to keep in my personal truck.
Winning.
All right.
We do the whole investigation, and Aaron comes walking up to me. He's like, hey, bro, I got to talk to you for a minute. And his sister was like hanging off my arm. And I'm like, okay, what's up, dude? Like, I wanted to get away from the pastor's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hang out with the goth chicks that I was friends with since we were like in kindergarten.
Naturally.
And so I'm like, all right, hey, yeah, I gotta go talk to your brother. I walk into the library. He's like, look, bro, dude, we were really drunk. We did. I'm like, I'm standing there, and I still have my shield on my belt for this investigation. Like, I'm like looking at him. I'm like, do you see something that's 6-pointed, gold colored, has a banner across the top, has a state seal in the center of it, says, you know, cadet, Saratoga, Wyoming Police Department.
Uh-huh.
It says C1 on the little tab on the son of a bitch. About that. Another buddy of mine, his dad was a lieutenant for the sheriff's office, and my buddy comes walking in, and I'm like, dude, I need a witness statement. Like, he's spontaneously uttering, I'm deputizing you. And he's like, dude, yeah, call my dad. Bro,
Okay.
No.
Get in here. John, shut the fuck up. Get in here. Get in here. And so, like, I'm sitting there with my notebook, and John's getting Aaron to talk, and I'm just like, and then I'm like, shit, I have my radio. I have my radio in my backpack. So I walk to my locker and I grab my radio. John's like talking to him. I walk back in. I'm like, so did anything I miss? Oh, yeah. So they're telling me the whole thing. And I hear S1 or C1 S1. Go ahead, sir. Are you 1060 with anybody right now? I'm like, affirmative.
What is 1060?
Or 1061. Are you 1061 talking to somebody?
Oh, okay.
Are you 61 with anybody right now? Affirm.
Yeah.
He's like, 10-4. Have you Mirandized? Fuck, I gotta go get my handcuffs out of my truck.
You gonna arrest this guy?
Huh?
You're gonna
I
arrest?
had to. We had to take him in. Well, then my buddy's dad shows up from the sheriff's office because he couldn't believe this shit. So Lou shows up, and his name was Louie, but he was a lieutenant. Lou shows up just to see my partner and I walk the principal's son out, and then go back in and walk my pastor's son out. My pastor shows up, and he's just like, wait till we get home. Your mother and I have a talk with you. Yeah. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be great. Hey, can we put him in your truck and you take him to county? Can we? I don't have a cage. I'm not taking those fucking retards. Come on, Lou. Can you put him in your F-150? I don't want to transport. Like, I'm supposed to be in class right now. I'm supposed to be in history class.
How old are they when this happened?
18.
Okay. So they're adults.
They're adults.
Yeah, so it's like felony charge, like the amount of technical amount of property destruction was anything over $1,000 or over $750 in the state of Wyoming is felony.
Did they actually get that down to a misdemeanor?
They did.
Okay.
But their part of their plea from the DA or from the Carbon County DA was to clean the pig. They had to go out there and scrub it until there was no markings left.
That sounds legit.
Yeah, it does.
And clean the pig stall. So like I would walk out. So while they're doing this, and they had to clean it like 4 times a day.
Okay.
So I'd walk out because I parked back by the ag shop. So I'd walk out and I'm like, hey boys, how's it going? Walk into my truck and go to lunch. Come back. Hey man,
Nice.
Hey guys, I can still smell a little bit of pig shit. You know, you might want to hose your boots off. I'm gonna go into the aquaculture lab and go check on the fish, and then I'm gonna go into the greenhouse, and then I'm gonna go start welding. See you guys in a few minutes. Every day for like a month straight.
Oh, they had to do it for a month. All right.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And not bad.
Oh, it took a month to get the markings off the pig.
Wow. So
And this was
long, hang on. So you were a cop for 2.5 years, correct?
yes.
All right. And what led to you leaving the department?
I make a quick announcement
hang on.
before we get to that, because he's got some bullet points that he wants to get into, and then we have the main event that the stream is named after. But Steve asked me to make a little special announcement.
Oh, man.
I know you're worried. I told you not to fucking worry about it, okay?
Right.
We have a special donor who says that they will match any donation made this week, Tuesday and Thursday, up to $1,000.
Oh.
So I guess as their own Christmas gift to you, good sir. So
money-
anybody's
I don't keep the
donation
money.
tonight, they are going to match tonight, and Thursday's donations up to $1,000 for the show, just for you,
Cool. Yeah.
or for the booze fund, you should say,
Well, it goes into the general fund.
the general fund. Yeah. But you were asking a question. So
I was just wondering. So what led to you having to leave being a cop? Because I've noticed a lot of guys who become cops actually like the job and want to stay at it.
Oh,
Was it
I
a
loved it.
thing or a dickhead thing? What was it?
So, Captain Dickhead,
Okay.
that you guys have read the stories about many times. He was actually under multiple investigations for graping underage girls while on duty.
Ooh.
While he was a sergeant in patrol. I can talk about it now because the NDA's expired after his trial, so that he got off. They've short bussed in the jury from Rollins to Casper. So what happened was Wyoming Division of Criminal Investigation, which is our state FBI. I don't know what you guys call it in Michigan, but we have division. We have state troopers. We have Division of Criminal Investigation, Wyoming Game and Fish, which have more authority than any law enforcement officer in the entire state.
Well, that's the way it is across the entire country, actually.
Well, you guys have DNR, which is because I have family in Michigan, so you guys have DNR,
yeah, we do.
which does parks and game and fish. We just have game and fish, and then a separate agency is park rangers.
All right.
So DCI, I'm working, and I start becoming friends with a DCI officer, with an agent.
Okay.
And we've worked a couple of cases together. And he's like, hey, have you heard the rumor? Like he's over at my house drinking beer one night. And it's just him and I. I'm a single guy, whatever, chilling with my buds and having a little house party. And he's like, hey, man, I got to talk to you in your guest room, which was basically my office. So I walk in there and I'm like, hey, yeah, what's up, bro? And he's like, hey, have you heard some rumors around town about your captain and about the chief? And I'm like, well, my dad said some things from when he worked DCI about the chief, but he was proud of me, so he just left it alone. Didn't want to taint my view. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, what has your dad told you? So I told him what my dad had told me, or what little my dad had told me. And he's like, all right, well, so we have an active investigation between DCI, FBI, ATF.
Wow.
All on the captain. And like my world collapsed.
Oh shit.
Like I had respect for my captain. And I'm like, all right, so tell me what's going on. He's like, well, so basically what happened was he had raped a girl.
Mm-hmm.
She was deployed to Iraq, and stuff had happened. She was deployed with the guard. Some things happened.
Mm-hmm.
She'd been in combat, and it triggered some memory. And she'd had heard rumors of girls and women being raped by Hajis.
Okay.
And so it triggered her, and she actually got caught by her bunkmate trying to put her M4 in her mouth.
Oh,
loaded. That led to another girl who was an EMT in Florida who had been raped by him, who read the story in the paper.
Uh-huh.
She tried to put her boyfriend, who was a Volusia County Sheriff's deputy. Don't quote me on that. I think it was Volusia County, Florida.
Okay.
Tried to put her boyfriend's service pistol in her mouth after dealing with a rape victim and reading the story. Like, it triggered the memories. She tried to off herself.
God damn.
It all got passed back to the state of Wyoming. And then, obviously, because he's got a lot of the FBI certs and a lot of the ATF certs, and he was a county commissioner too, and his mommy had been a district court judge.
Oh, so he's got all of the bells and whistles.
Oh yeah, so he'd actually gone to the Wyoming State Pen on rape charges when he worked at the mine, and his mommy got the charges dropped.
Oh,
yeah.
So, and he was able to join law enforcement.
Yeah.
So the whole thing ended up, it went on for like, I basically worked undercover. The chief was always trying to get one of us to be a DCI agent to work with the state and work, and do investigations. narcotics investigations, undercover. And they kept telling him, they're like, we already got a man doing that, but they wouldn't tell him who it was. They would never cooperate with the chief. And it turned up one night we get this call that they needed DCI agents. And I heard it on the radio, and my ASAC calls me up and he's like, hey, I need you to show up, but I need you to show up.
What's an ASAC?
So it's your special agent in charge, but it's your agent, special agent, or whatever in charge.
Okay.
Right.
So he calls me up and he's like, hey, bro, there's nobody else available, like nobody in Saratoga, nobody in Hannah. Hell, 100 miles away in Rock Springs, we don't have anybody available. So it's you and I tonight. He's
Right.
like, but what I want you to do is I want you to take your shield off your uniform, and I want you to put our shield on your uniform and show up to this call in uniform in your unit. So I show up on scene, and Callie dickhead, his daughter and I had broken up by then. Callie dickhead sees me with the 7-point star. He doesn't see me with my shield anymore. Sees me with their shield and standing next to my agent, my agent in charge. And he goes and reports me to the chief. Well, the chief tried to screw me over. And before this, we had all been locked in the squad room with Chief and Captain Dickhead. And literally the speech we were given is, yes, there's an investigation against the captain. If DC, yes, that's true. The rumors aren't false. The news reports aren't false. But here's what's going to happen. If DCI, I don't care if it's DCI, FBI, ATF, if they come to talk to you, you report them to your sergeant. Your sergeant's unavailable. You report him to your lieutenant. He's unavailable. You report him to the officer of the day if they're both unavailable. Or you report him to the captain or I. No exceptions.
So they don't want
then,
you to actually speak to any of these investigators.
Exactly. So he ended up finding out about it, and he comes and gets me with my lieutenant. My lieutenant was, the captain had taken time off for medical reasons.
Yeah.
And my lieutenant was supposed to be taking the captain's position, and my lieutenant had just had eye surgery, so he's kind of doing that job. And he shows up, and he says, "Hey, I need." Lieutenant shows up. He says, "I need you to talk to the chief." I walk out. Chief's like, "Hey, get in my car." I'm like, "All right, what about my unit, sir? What's going on?" He's like, "I need you to call 42, which means go home, end of shift." And we're driving, and he's like, "I'm going to take you home." So he drives me home, and he goes, "So we have a lot of issues going on with you right now." He's like, "One of the primary issues is blue backs blue no matter what." And I'm like,
yeah, that is why we're in the problems we're having right now.
Well, so I get pissed, and I'm like, well, I don't give a fuck. I swore an oath to the U.S. Constitution. I swore an oath to the state Constitution. Like, I went to the academy. I studied this shit. Like, no, that's not how this shit works. And he drives me to my apartment, and I remember reaching down to my key fob on my belt, on my basket weave leather belt.
Yeah.
And I pull my keys off, and I go to hand my whole key ring to him. I take my house key and my personal truck key off it, and I go to hand him my keys. And he's like, what are you doing with this? And I'm like, you need to take my keys away from me, sir, because if I get drunk tonight, I'm going to the city garage, I'm getting my truck, and I'm going to fucking find a lake. I'll drive to Sinclair and put it in the North Platte River. I'll drive all the way to Casper and put it in Alcova. Like, I'll put it through the front of the fucking police department. Like, wow. I'm going to the bar. Ooh. And he's like, no, everything's good. Like, you just keep it tomorrow, turn the rest of your gear, in which I kept a uniform shirt. I kept a couple of patches that I cut off a jacket and a shirt.
Okay.
Turn the rest of my shit in. But in the meantime, I was fuming, and I was friends with the DA and her husband. So I called them because we had a bunch of cases pending that Callie Dick had done that were a little bit shady. So I kind of, I told her to investigate them. There was then after that phone call, because she was pissed, she was livid about them getting rid of me. I called a district court judge who was a friend of mine. She was a single gal in her 40s, good looking gal. And I called her, and I'm like, so this is what's going on. Like, this is what they did. She's like, are you fucking serious? Like, blows up. And I'm like, yeah, so I'm going to the bar. I'm I'm going to the bar with my buddies. I'm going to get shit faced. I'm going to go take the truck and I'm going to go wreck it. And she's like, I'll be at your apartment in 5 minutes. And I'm like, you don't understand how this is going on. I'm leaving my apartment in 5 minutes. She's like, I swear to God, I'm going to have a sheriff's deputy parked outside of your house. You're not leaving your house. I will be there in 5 minutes to pick you up. We're going to the bar together. We're going to have a couple of drinks, and then you're going to go to my house, and we're going to talk. And I'm going to talk you down.
Talk you down with some vagina.
You needed that.
Yeah, and a little bit of wine, too. Actually, a lot of
There you
good
go.
wine.
A little bit of that.
After all that happened, I got 3 months severance pay, all my comp time paid, plus vacation I hadn't earned yet. And I got unemployment out of it. And I did like any young 22, 23-year-old would do, blew my freaking money. And on strippers and booze and, and then I got it. But I literally got a job like a week later. I was in the oil field working as a roustabout. Okay.
Now I got to ask, did the ex-wife happen while you were a cop or after?
No, way after.
Okay.
Like
you said before we went live that you wish that you would have known about guys like us when you got married.
Yeah.
So please tell us what happened there. I have to know the story.
Okay, so this was 2007.
Oh, right before we started.
So
we met anyway.
All the stuff with the PD happened in 2007. So 2008, I get with her.
Okay.
Thanks to the gay dudes. Pop, you were there when I talked about it. The guys my friends that introduced us.
Mm-hmm.
So you were in the oil fields and you just got used to.
Yeah, I was. Well, no, I was residential and commercial plumbing at the time.
Oh, okay. So you were.
I had left the oil field and I was laying pipe everywhere else. So, and I'd already laid a lot of pipe in a lot of field before that. So, I'm plumbing, and my two gay friends hook us up, and
there's a lot of gay friends around here. Like people think you're gay. Like one dude, I wonder if he was actually trying to like bait the hook to be like, if he's gay.
I honestly, with Cali fucker, I don't doubt it because I heard rumors from his daughter, from his wife, from his younger daughters that they had an uncle who moved from California with them and lived with them. And dad and uncle would go to the bedroom without mom.
Oh, I was only half.
That guy's still an officer in Rollins. Yeah, well, I think I seriously.
I was only half kidding, but now I'm a little freaked out.
Yeah, trust me, I was freaked out when he was saying the shit to me. So the two dudes I knew from Rollins, like the one's like a father to me, and I'd helped him move up here. One of my buddies and I had helped these two dudes move up here. The husband had moved up here already. He was moving out of Rollins, so we were helping him move. And of course, my truck blows a motor when I'm leaving Willow Hill trying to catch the gay friend that introduced me.
All these things are blown.
Yeah. So my gay friend Sammy's doing like 115 in a 65 at the time. And he's just screaming.
115 and a 69.
Pretty good.
Bad.
That's like a 69 with both legs and both feet.
So I'm trying to catch up to him in my Ford Ranger because I got a bunch of his shit in the back of my truck.
It's not a white Ford Ranger, is it? You drive it?
No, it was.
Okay.
No, it was a 4-wheel drive off-road package, 1999, with a flex fuel 6.0 Vulcan motor in it.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm like hauling ass. Like I'm like, fuck, he's doing like 115. I'm doing shit. I'm doing the fucking speed limit. There's no troopers between Casper and Bear Oil. And it's once you get off of Willow Hill, it's like a straight flat till you hit Muddy Gap.
All right.
Insert gay joke there. I've insert. So my backtrack that with
into Muddy Flat.
So with the gay. So backtrack that. My aunt comes out from Michigan when I was in high school.
Okay.
And she's like, "Is this where they filmed Brokeback Mountain?" And we were in French. Oh, I'm pissed. My grandma's there. My cousin's a traveling nurse. We're all up in the mountains. And she's like looking over this huge mountain view of French Creek, which is like this massive fucking valley. 2 years ago, there was the biggest forest fire in Wyoming since Yellowstone. It actually got into Colorado.
Oh shit!
Okay.
That's no fun.
It's part of the snowy. It's part of the Medicine Bow National Forest. It's part of Snowy Range. I grew up hunting there. Like I chased elk and deer all over that place.
As long as you weren't chasing ass on Brokeback Mountain.
No. So my aunt's standing by this giant fucking Douglas fir that's on the side of the road. And she's like, is this where they filmed Brokeback Mountain? And I'm like, no, this is where they filmed their lesbian sequel.
Was it a tree or was it a guy named Douglas who was a furry?
No, it was an actual Douglas fir. Like this fucking tree was like 8 foot in diameter.
Oh
Just
shit!
hanging over the edge of this cliff that is kind of the lookout on the Forest Service Road.
Okay.
And my aunt's looking around and she's like, oh, is this where they filmed Brokeback Mountain? And I'm like, no, this is where they filmed the lesbian sequel. She turns around, she's like, there's a lesbian sequel. I'm like, yeah, it's called Beaver Rim. It's about two lesbian fur traders, or it's about two lesbian fur trappers.
Oh, they're trappers.
And she's like, so she gets pissed and she starts like looking at my mom, and she's the oldest of. My mom is the second oldest of 5 kids. My aunt's the oldest of 5 kids. She looks at my mom without skipping a beat in front of my grandma. She's like, "You're gonna let him talk to me like that?" My mom's like, well, "I don't know what to do." She looks at my dad. My dad's like, "I'm getting in the truck."
I have none of it.
So my aunt's sitting there and she's like, "Oh, okay, Mr. Smartass, what do we call the sequel to Brokeback Mountain?" I'm like, Muddy Gap. It's actually being filmed outside of Bear Oil in Muddy Gap, which is an actual area called Muddy Gap. It's
Muddy
where it's where US 220 and US 789 meet, and they go from Rawlins 789 to 220, and then 789 shoots off up to Lander. And it's literally called Muddy Gap. Like there's a sign that says Muddy Gap. So I was like, yeah, their sequel is going to be called Muddy Gap.
Muddy Gap. Where they have a fairy queen and all they serve is Neapolitan.
Oh, they got nothing out there, but yeah, I mean, it might as well be because So my gay friend's like hauling ass from Bear Oil to Muddy Gap on the fucking flats because he's like, fuck, I can open this car up to 120 miles an hour. Fuck it. So he's laying into his car and I'm going down the hill, and all of a sudden my fucking engine locks up going down Willow Hill. And I'm like, motherfucker. So I'm calling him and I'm like, we barely have cell service here. Like, I need to make a fucking phone call. Like, I have 1 bar. So I'm on the phone. He's like, all right, I'm turning around. So he turns around at Muddy Gap, hauls ass back to me. And about then this hot chick from Lander rolls up in her F-350. And my gay friend's very mechanically inclined. So he's looking at my engine. He's like trying to turn the fan. He's like, bro, I think you blew the motor. Yeah, no shit.
Blew it all right.
He's like, it's seized up. He's like, but I don't see any oil underneath it. He's like, call your dad. I'm like, I don't want to call my fucking dad.
How many miles were on the truck when that happened?
Like 50,000.
Oh, it must have been still under warranty, right?
No, because a fuel pump had blown. Fremont Motors fucked that up. The transmission went out. Fremont Motors, Rawlins fucked that up. So, like,
wow,
it's fucked. So my dad's like, all right. He's like, fine, I'm gonna call your dad. And he's like, no getting in the truck with her because I know what you're gonna ask her for. I know what you're gonna do. And she's like, well, where are you coming from? I'm like, well, I'm from Saratoga. And she's like, oh, I'm from Lander. I'm like, I was born in Lander. Hey, we got some shit in common.
Nice.
And my buddy's like, my buddy looks at me and he's like, I know what you're going to do. You're going to go back to the hot springs and you're going to, fuck it. Just get in the truck with her.
All right.
He's like, I can't deny a guy. So my mom and dad show up by then. And my dad's like asking my gay buddy, he's like, look, I know you're a fucking fairy, but what's wrong with his truck? And he's like, well, I think my gay buddy Sam, he's like, well, I think it threw a rod. The oil pump has never worked right on this truck. This is what I think, the lifters are screwed up. Like, he's like, turn the ignition. Like he's super mechanically inclined. And so then I moved them up there, and like I had to borrow my dad's fucking F-350, or I had to borrow my dad's Ford Ranger and drive up there and move them. Get a new car because, got my truck fixed, got drunk in Hannah,
Seems legit.
rolled my truck on Cinco de Mayo in a snowstorm, rolled my truck down Coyote Canyon, almost died. The fire department took my pit bull and put her in the ambulance in a blanket on the gurney, but refused to give me a blanket. The trooper that showed up was a drinking buddy of mine.
Nice.
So he told the sheriff's deputies, one of the sheriff's deputies, when I had been a cop, I had arrested his wife for DUI. Sheriff's deputy wanted me.
Ooh.
State trooper buddy of mine looks at him and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here. This is my jurisdiction. Like, go." Trooper buddy of mine does, he does FSTs. I pass all of them, drunk as shit, pass FSTs. Turns off his cruiser cam and he's like, "Man, so you and Hefe, you guys practice this shit when you guys were drinking buddies?" I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We get in the car. He pulls out the PBT, which, portable breath test, which is inadmissible in under Wyoming statutes. And it's inadmissible. And he goes through the whole, you're a former police officer. You understand that this is inadmissible under Wyoming state statute. I can't use this against you, but I can use it to as a preliminary to obtain a warrant for your blood or your breath. If you refuse, I'm like, okay. Turns off the cruiser cam again. He looks at me and he's like, "All right, bro, you and I both know 0.08 is the state statute, is minimum. CDL is 0.04. Police officer is 0.06. You're a former cop. You still count as a cop. If you blow a 0.06, your ass is going to fucking Rollins right now."
Wow. Okay.
All right, dude. So he's like, and then he holds it up and I watch him dial the fucking back of it. He's like, "I'm dialing this bitch all the way down, dude. So if you blow anything, we're going."
Yeah.
Or if you blow
anything,
over,
we're going.
Man, there's
He's
a lot of
like, if you
slips tonight.
Yeah. I know.
All right.
So he says you blow a 0.06, you're going to county. Okay. So we go back on cruiser cam and I'm blowing.
I'm blowing all right. I'm on camera this time. It's on court.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, you got to do what you got to do to get out of this shit, right?
Grunt cop gives a nice portable blowy.
0.058.
Use.
0.058.
Making gay.
All right. So what happened?
0.058.
Oh.
By the
so he gets
teeth.
So he gets on the radio, radios it out, turns around on cruiser cam. He's like, "So you on the PBT, it's showing you blew a 0.058. I estimate with your height, your body weight, that's about 6 beers." And I'm like, 6? It's like a case of beer, 17 shots, half a bottle of whiskey, 3 bottles of tequila. There's still a case of beer in my truck. He shuts it off. He's like, "Shut the fuck up, dude."
What are you, Jim Carrey and liar?
At that point, I was so drunk, I didn't give a fuck. I was like, "Fuck it."
All
well,
right.
then, couple week after that, the gay dude I was moving up there calls me up. He's like, "Hey man, I got this chick I want you to meet. Come up to Casper for the weekend. You
He
working?"
saw you
I'm like,
glowing and thought that he would hook you up.
probably. So I run up there. I meet this gal. Things go great. I get sick. I have a week off of work. My mom's trying to take care of me. My mom's driving from her house. My dad's checking in on me. My mom literally shows up. This should have been the first sign of trouble. She shows up without her kids, and she had like 4 kids, which again, another sign of trouble.
Oh no.
And you married this woman.
Yeah, I did.
4 kids.
So from 2 different dudes.
Oh my God! What the fuck? What are you doing? Were you fucking?
I was 20.
You son of a bitch!
Yeah.
How old were you?
Yeah.
25. 24,
Oh,
25.
you were barely out of the don't know shit age bracket.
Yeah.
Oh.
So first clue should have been when my mom showed up with a big ass bowl of chicken noodle soup, homemade chicken noodle soup with homemade noodles. And she blows up at my mom at the front door. "I'm here now. I'm taking care of him. Leave him the fuck alone."
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah. My mom leaves. My mom calls me, or my mom texts me. My mom's like, my mom's like, I swear to God, I'll kill that bitch if I ever come over there again. If she's not gone by tonight, I'm like, well, she's staying the weekend, Mom. Just let it go. I get a text message from my sister who's in college.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister's like, so Mom just called me. We need to chat.
Oh, here we go.
Then I get a phone call from my dad. I don't know who this whore is, but I want her out of your fucking house.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe you
Well,
should have taken the hint.
I should have. I was dumb.
Well, how did she become your ex-wife? What went down? Because it took a long time to get here. That's why I just kind of want to cut to the chase.
Okay. All right. So it was the I get laid off from Enerflex Energy Services building natural gas compressor stations.
Right.
And she had been taking money from me all the time. And I didn't know at the time she'd actually stolen one of my credit cards and used it.
Oh.
So I got hit years later for that. And that's already paid off. But she looks at me. I gotten into a car accident coming home. I got my 07 Trailblazer out of it. I was paying my loan. I get laid off, and I've got to make a decision. Pay my loan or get fucked for 7 years. So she's like, all right, well, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your unemployment. You're going to give that all to me and put it all into the house. And you're going to let your loan slip. And I'm like, that's not happening. That's not going to happen. Like, done. Like you fucking killed a baby on top of that and made me pay for it.
Whoa. All right. You just pulled out killed a baby. Where are we in this story?
Okay, so we're at the end of it. So like 6 months before this, she called me up when we were fighting, and I was living out of the house with a friend, and she says, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, good for you. I know you're jumping on your boss's dick. Good for you. She's like, well, it's yours. And I'm like, at that time, my brain kicks in because I wanted a family really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. She's like, what are we going to do about it? You promised me to take care of it. And I said, okay, so first thing we're going to do is get a paternity test. That's not happening. I want an abortion.
Oh,
you know what the deal is.
She went to you because she thought you would just take it.
Yeah, you'd be like, I'll take care of the kid.
Yeah.
And then you find out in 20 fucking years it's not your kid.
Yeah.
God damn it!
So this is why I'd wished I'd found you guys in 2009 when this shit happened.
I mean,
because
you call if it had a call-in show back then. Yes, our pop. I'm thinking of getting married. I'm 25.
She's got 4 kids from 2 other dudes.
Should I do it? I'd be like, fuck no! That be for the Kensher Schmitz dropping all kinds of fucking babies from other dudes. No!
You should have listened to your parents, bro.
Yeah.
I know. I should have listened to my mom and dad.
One altercation, your mom knew better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she had an altercation with my sister over the phone, and my sister was like, my sister's 6'1".
Fuck.
God damn.
And works out. Like I'm from a tall family. Like my mom and my wife are the shortest people in my family. My daughter's almost as tall as my wife, and my daughter's 12.
Holy shit.
All right.
Wallflower syndrome.
Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, and I'd been a varsity baseball and varsity football player. So, I was always around the chicks, and I was always dick thinking because
I
had injuries.
No, you weren't dick thinking from the stories we're hearing. No,
not at all. No, no.
You are an athlete and former cop. I mean, ladies will just be like, "Oh, you're tall."
Listen, you were thinking so hard you could walk yourself through a corn maze blindfolded with your dick out.
It was true. I don't deny it. Like I could have walked through anywhere with it. Like I walked through the forest and knocked over fucking trees.
I know what you're saying, man. So hang on. All right. So how old are you now?
I am 39. I'll be 40 in May.
All right. When would you say honestly? When did you stop dick thinking, or are you still dick thinking?
I would say honestly, about a year after I got out of that shit. So about 26. I was 26. Like reality, the hard pill suppository was deep.
The red pill suppository.
Yeah. And it was deep. like
did
at
you
that
say
point.
your ex tried to pull some shit to split you up with your now wife too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was my ex from high school.
Oh, a different one.
Yeah, a different one. I shouldn't have given him the 10 dick. I'm an idiot.
That's a terrible idea. You never give the 10 dick in high school.
Listen,
No,
if you give a 10 dick to a 5 or less, because that's how you wind up with chronic stalker syndrome.
what if there are 7?
What's that's
You know-
listen, flip a coin. Flip a coin then. But
Oh, the thing is, I get it because when I was a young dick thinking individual, I was throwing 10 dick to the breeze because I just thought it was the polite thing to do.
Yeah. Well, and I did too. I was like, well,
No, I
fuck,
know
you
better.
I mean, they all, yeah. I was like, oh God, they want it, so I mean, I might as well put it out. You know, now I'm a fat, ugly bastard. And
Because
thank
we know
God
that
my wife's a
women
good cook.
communicate better than men. So
Yeah.
if they know any of your friends or any of their friends know you and you don't give a satisfactory performance, everybody and their mother, especially in a small town, is going to know your business and know
Or
your
a small
shit.
state, a
Yeah.
very small state where everybody fucking knows each other.
Ugh.
if you fuck up and give like a 7 or higher, anything less than 10 dick, everyone's gonna know you have low dick energy.
Yep.
Because they're gonna run their mouth. Yeah, I know he's really tall, but you know he's half mast kind of.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
son of a bitch. And that kind of shit hurts your feelings, and that's why we have to show you guys this before we adjourn for New Tech. Look
There
at
we
this
go. Yes.
carpet, which is actually from the police department where Stag used to work. It's a hurt feelings report. What is this? Whiner's name, whiner's age, whiner's sex. Oh, well, now you have to have whiner's gender with 57 different fucking options.
Yeah.
This came out in 2005. I'm sorry, but it's never going to change.
Date feelings were hurt. Time of hurtfulness. Location of hurtful comments.
Listen, we're putting this on the website.
Was anyone sympathetic to the whiner?
Hey, compare it to the U.S. Army one.
Okay. Where's the U.S. Army one? Is this the one here?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, FM
Whiner's
22
name.
dash.
Oh, it's a social security number so that you could steal the whiner's, you know, you could like create a fucking credit card under the whiner's name, I
Yes,
guess.
you can.
So when we come back on New Tech, I'll tell you guys the story of how that form got into my hands.
Oh my god. Well, no, just tell us now. This is hilarious.
Okay. So
How cute this. Did you require a tissue for tears? I love how tissues in quotes. Has this resulted in a traumatic brain injury? The Air
mine
Force
says the same
fixed
thing.
my problem.
Mine actually, if you go to mine after the narrative, it will ask on the police one, or it will tell you that will dispatch we as a department take hurt feelings seriously.
Oh,
If
yeah, I can
someone
read this
give you a hugger, if not, we'll dispatch EMS, the third
If you have
responders.
someone who can give you a hug and make things all better, please let us know. We will promptly dispatch a hugger to you ASAP. In the event a hugger cannot be found, an EMS team will be dispatched
Third
to soak your
responders.
socks in coal oil to prevent ants from crawling up your leg and eating their way up your candy ass. If you are in need of supplemental support upon written request, we will make every reasonable effort to provide you with a blankie, a binky, and or a bottle if you so decide. Can we put this on the website?
So this, hell yeah, put that shit up. That's why I sent it to you. I actually have a folder in the warehouse now full of these fuckers.
Oh, I love this. Was anyone sympathetic to Whiner? And then in parentheses, please include paid witnesses.
Nice.
Well, if you look at the top where it says, please return this form to a law enforcement officer.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Disclosure is voluntary. However,
To
repeated
use this form, hold on,
Yeah.
Blake. To use this form, it must physically be placed in the hands of any law enforcement officer.
Oh yeah.
So the
Disclosure
story,
is voluntary. Repeated
So-
lying may lead to your file being stamped candy ass or some other appropriate term.
so what happened with this was you get sovereign citizens, First Amendment auditors, and fucking anybody that Karens that are if you don't handle their call the way they think it should be handled and not the way you're trained to handle it, it is an instant. I want a complaint form. I want to talk to a supervisor. Okay, well, if I'm the supervisor, and this happened to me multiple times, I'd like to speak to a supervisor. Well, I am the supervisor. I'm the officer of the day. Now I want to speak to your supervisor. So I'd literally get on my radio or act like I'm getting on my fucking mic, not key it, walk back to my truck, get in, put it in reverse, back out onto the street for like 8 feet, put it in drive, pull the truck back up, get out, happy, puffed up. Hey, I heard you called for a supervisor.
Nice.
I like it.
My lieutenant did that shit. Well, my lieutenant got tired of this shit. He called a buddy of his at, I can't remember if it was Rock Springs or Riverton. And they're like, hey man, I'll email you this form we got. Well, you know, cops carry trespass notices, no contact orders, witness statements, state accident forms, citations, arrest affidavits, search affidavits, probable cause affidavits. So we've got more than enough paperwork to fill out during a day. And
Really? That sounds
yeah,
like
I know, right? Like, I mean, the job is 100% like they say in Hollywood, you know, shootouts and fucking dead bodies every day. It's 90%, 95% fucking paperwork.
Yeah.
And 1% go. So he started issuing these to us along with a donut form for the amount of boxes of donuts you eat in a day, and a coffee intake form as well.
Dude, you got to get me these forms.
This is hilarious.
I'm gonna have to dig through my file on the donut intake form and the coffee gallon register.
Dude,
So
I'd have a fucking field day with this if I get pulled over.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
So LT gives us these forms, and he's like, here are your civilian complaint forms, because no cop carries a civilian complaint form. Here's a clue to anybody that's watching, that's a fucking anti-cop piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's how I feel. We
Gotcha.
don't carry civilian complaint forms. They're not in our vehicles. You get them from dispatch. If the cop tells you go down to the station, get it from dispatch. Get it from fucking dispatch. So we have to tell people this shit. Like, we have to reiterate it. Finally, he's like, just hand him one of these forms. Well, that form followed me to the oil field.
Oh, nice.
And I filled it out for a lot of candy asses.
Excellent.
Dude, you need to get me these forms.
I will look through my files. Pop, I will look through the
beautiful.
files and I will give them to you.
Yes.
Scan them in PDF, send them.
Yeah, keep an eye
Oh, I
out
will.
on redonkulas.com
This is comedy fucking gold.
on the
man.
downloads page. We will have these for you as soon as they're available.
Well, we've already got the coitus consent form up there.
And we have the two different hurt feelings reports now.
All right. What about the
And then you gave me
wall-to-wall
this one
counseling?
here, the wall-to-wall counseling, which I'm not even sure like what this worm pile is on the front.
Somebody getting their ass beat. Wall-to-wall.
Yeah, that's a dude getting the shit kicked out of him.
Wall-to-wall counseling, the Spartans. The history of wall-to-wall counseling includes the Spartans, Patton, the South Korean Army, Major and Minor.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Our wall-to-wall counseling for law enforcement was a hell of a lot less chapters.
Yeah, this
I'll
was
have to find that one, too.
21-page document.
I also have an application for dating my daughter that I'm going to make some fuckhead when my daughter is old enough to date. Fill the motherfucker out.
You got to send that to me too. Then.
Oh, I'm going to, I'll get it. My wife actually has it on the phone. I'll have her email it to me, and then I'll email it to you in PDF. It's comedy gold, because it's like, what weapon, if you were to be shot by a caliber of weapon, what caliber would you choose?
Good time.
Who would your next of kin be?
All right, we got to move to new tech.
Yeah, we're
man.
going to move to
All
new
right.
tech here.
All right, boys.
I should say, but before we do that, I have one more funny video for you and a YouTube chat from Risky Krisky. He says, "Love you, Pop. You motivated me."
Oh,
to
shit,
start
Risky. I love Risky. I watch his shit every day.
Yeah, Risky's awesome. Oh, you guys are going to love this. We're talking about crazy ladies tonight here, like your ex-wife. Let's check this out.
Hey, so she want me to help her with her cardio. So I told her that she smells like my ex today. Hey, look what we got. Hey, we were running for 20 minutes straight, y'all. Come on, baby, pick up the speed. Pick up the speed. Pick it up. There we go. Come on, my ex look better than you. She got a fat ass, and you she look better than you. Come on. Slow ass. Slow ass.
Thank you, Digital Do, for that one. That was
a
awesome.
good one. That was a good
All
one.
right, it is 9:20. Jimmy Bones, if you could paste those links in the chat over on YouTube, we're going to take a quick break here to enjoy some Jeffrey Paul tunes.
We also got a Danger Dad sent a very big.
I
cash.
did notice that. We got a Danger Dad story for you when we get to new tech, and probably some more real Stag stories too.
Oh, we got a few.
depending on how many chats we got? I'm going to do a little recon before we actually go back and I'll see how much time we got.
Definitely on that.
All right. Go empty your squirrel bladders, dudes. We'll see you in 5. Woo!